Hey guys, Scott Pine Barren Craftsman here. I want to show you my custom spray cabinet. Yes, got the heat, got the full ceramic coat. This is a header that I recently sanded down, and I'm on the fence if there's enough there to care about and work with. It's got a good amount of pitting, but I figured try this before I go buy new headers. And got a space heater in here. Cold day. I don't want to have the overspray smell in the house, so I decided to make my own little spray cabinet right here in the bed of the truck. It's a good idea if you don't care about the inside of your cab. Here's where we're at. We're working on the Trans Am. I always say we, but me. I'm working on the Trans Am. It's only me. The project. Spiraling out of control. So, where to start? A couple days ago, I decided that I wanted to figure out what this engine is. And I did a lot of diagnostic work, which means actually just taking flashlights and calling up people and looking on internet. I found out that this is a 350. It's probably not a stroker engine. It is a boat application engine that I've come to guess, but pretty comfortable the way the car runs on the road. I think the cam was swapped because if it was just a boat cam in this thing, it would run a lot different on the road. It would have a lot of torque, but I don't think the horsepower would be where it's at. As well, I can see that there's a lot of new gaskets and ARP head bolts and hardware. So I'm coming to that conclusion, and it's a fresh engine by looking into the cylinders, and the next endeavor that happened with this engine was the oil pan was leaking. One of the rubber gaskets, these reusable gaskets, had broken at the edge of the gasket right here. I guess when they installed it, they over-tightened it, and it was leaking by the torque converter, which I thought was a rear main seal area, and it's not. Luckily, it's just the oil pan. Dropped the oil pan was clean. Took some videos and some pictures of the rotating assembly, and the pistons were 350 Chevy small block boat application, right? So we know. And there's drain plugs down here, up underneath that little brass fitting there. There's one on either side where you could drain the block. So that's obviously for a boat application. Drop the oil pan, very difficult. Not very difficult. It just took some time, but the ingenuity was to the max. The engine hoist was here, okay? I hooked both front header tubes. This is just what I did with a strap. And I disconnected the motor mount with the vertical pin that goes front to back, pulled them out, and I jacked up the engine as far as it would go so I could slide the pan out without it hitting the cross member. The cross member is right up against the pan just about on these cars. So I didn't have to drain my antifreeze. I didn't have to disconnect the gas lines because everything's rubber lines that come off of the hard line that's on the frame. Nothing moved that was rigid. It was all flexible. So all my hoses and lines were able to flex. Everything went right up. I jacked up the coil, and I made sure the distributor didn't hit the firewall, and I was able to get the engine high enough up, dropped the oil pan, checked out the internals. Now, why the headers off? The headers were on when I did that, no problem. I was able to clear that. Oh, and disconnect your exhaust. The headers were stopping me from raising the engine up. After looking at those headers, I noticed that they were pretty rough shape. It was ugly. If you go back in some other videos, it didn't look pretty. So I decided to sand them down. I was going to replace them, but I don't know if I'm going to keep this engine in here long term. So put it back together, sprayed it up. I'm going to do that. Got some gaskets, reusable ones. I don't know. These are the ones that came off. These are a set that I have. The guy at Jeg says that you could use a square on a round. And I don't like the way that sounds. It sounds to me like we're failing, preschool here. It looks like it's impeding on the flow of the Vortec head just by lining up the gaskets. I can see that there's a touch of copper in the way on that. So I'm going to use these gaskets again. Probably should have ordered a set, but he didn't have the rounds. He only had the squares at Jegs. So I said, no, I'm not going to order them if they're not the right ones. These fit that head perfect. Why wouldn't you use circle and circle? I don't know if you guys run into this before, but these are a set that I had online for an old motor that I broke in, and it leaked. He told me to use copper spray. Nice guy, but I'm not doing that. Copper spray doesn't make copper. It just makes it sticky. Starter, drop the starter. Looked at the flex plate. Looks good. Newer. It's a TCI trans with a TCI torque converter, which is nice. It's not like mismatched. I'm trying to find out what the torque converter is. It's very hard to see any numbers on it. I'm hoping it's like a 13 to 2000 stall converter, which I don't think it's a 2000. I think it's like in that 13 range. I don't think it's stock. I think this is a little bit better than stock because I hit second gear pretty hard, and it stays up in the RPM range when I'm going down the road. I have reason to suspect. It's just everything compared to my 454 big block that I had is a lot different. This thing is like, it's anorexic or anemic compared to the big blocks, but I think I'm going to keep this going. The engine is clean. There's not much grease on it. It's black all the way around, so that's another thing that's pretty cool about it. Probably should have painted the intake manifold black to match it. The orange is kind of bothering me. But the carburetor, I'm going to switch out the carburetor. I'm going to look for a secondary that's mechanical instead of vacuum. Just because I want to see what it feels like. Episode of Engine Masters, Freiberg and Dulcich and the other guy there did the breakdown of two different carbs on one engine, and they made a substantially more power on the dyno. Warranted. They're not using a mechanical water pump, and they had long tube, full length, huge headers on it, and perfect scenario on a dyno. But I'm thinking that maybe I'd get a little more performance out of this because I don't know. I'm still deciding on whether I want to be a fast car driver or a cruiser with this vehicle. All this bracketry was messed up. I wasn't getting the full wide open throttle. This thing bent slowly and pulled together. So I reworked the kickdown cable and I reworked the throttle. And I bent this tab so this has less movement in it because it was relying only on the bolt nut to hold this stationary, and I floored it and it would come forward and you could push it back. And there was a lot of movement in this. Now you wide open throttle, it goes. This is all little tinkering stuff. Now, what cam is it? What cam is in it? Should I throw a different cam? It's a roller cam. I know that, but maybe I could put a more performance geared cam in there with a different set of heads. These heads flow pretty good if, for what they are. Am I looking to get 450 horse out of this engine? I don't think so. I think I'm lucky if I get 350 and 400 foot-pounds of torque with the way it sits right now. I'm lucky if I have that. The way I found out it was a roller cam, other than doing the research, is pull the valve cover off, look down past the push rods, there's little holes, and you can look down and see the lifters. And on the lifter, there's like a little lock that grabs two lifters on each set, and it stops them from rotating because they're actually rollers. There's a roller on the bottom of that lifter instead of it being a flat tappet cam where those lifters rotate in their holes. So rollers, that's cool. I'm happy with that. Engine runs smooth. I set the timing again with the vacuum gauge. I think I'm a tooth off on a distributor, so I want to pull that distributor out and reset top dead center. and get the indicator back over where the marking light is. Because when I'm setting the distributor where I want it on the vacuum gauge, the timing light is not anywhere near it. And I'm going to do total timing at 3,000 RPMs. So that's it. It's a little bit of update on the car. Underneath, it is what it is. It's a older car. I got to get new collector gaskets. These are collector gaskets. They're 3-inch. They go on the back of the header where it mounts to the rest of the exhaust. This, I used a coating on this, I think. I think I put a coating on this. There's a spray that you could use. That's copper. This is what the guy was talking about. Spray this with copper gasket sealer, high temp sealant. But I think there's a coating that I put on this. I'm not sure. That gets this to adhere. But you can see like there's a good imprint for where it snugged down. But to try to reuse this is stupid. It's like 17 bucks. I really shouldn't even be using the header gaskets again, but they're easy to swap. The way that they're set up, they just hang in there and you could bolt them in without having to remove the whole exhaust. So I don't want to spend any more money on the engine unless I know for sure that I'm going to keep it. So anyway, thanks for watching. This was a big pain in the neck, little stupid stuff they got to tinker around with to get it right. I got this oil here. I don't know. I'm thinking I might use it. It's Platinum Synthetic 5W30. Because it's a roller engine, I didn't realize I don't need the zinc additives and all that nonsense that you need with the flat tapping. So I'm thinking I'm going to run the synthetic in there, get a little bit more longevity out of the oil, viscosity or whatever. All right, a little bit of a informative what I did video. All right, see you.